What if Tanjiro never actually learned water breathing? What if he never met Urokodaki? What if he met someone way stronger? What if Yoriichi trained Tanjiro instead of Urokodaki? But how? Is he even still alive? Did he get hit by Truck-kun and reincarnate? I came up with 3 theories that explain this, so you'll have to stick around to find out. Now let's get straight into theory 1. As Tanjiro wanders through the forest, he meets a man with long red hair and wearing the same Hanafuda earrings he has, who carries him and his unconscious sister to shelter. After passing out and waking up, he finds himself in a little home. Startled, he introduces himself to Tanjiro, saying that he's Yoriichi and he's glad to have saved him. This eases Tanjiro, and the two finally have a conversation. He realizes that he's a reincarnated vessel, an instance that only happens in the ancient scrolls, where a vessel is reborn with the same memories, abilities, and prowess of a great warrior. The only catch is he only lives for 20 years, and 19 of his are already up. He then says that he must pass the gift of the Hinokami Kagura onto the Hanafuda user, and is glad that he has met Tanjiro. He asks Tanjiro if he's willing to carry on that legacy, and Tanjiro gladly accepts, as long as it helps make him stronger. And for the next few months, Tanjiro trains and masters the basics of the Hinokami Kagura left for him to perfect. And one day, as Yoriichi lies on his deathbed, he tells Tanjiro to finish what he started, and he gives up his final breath. Tanjiro accepts it as his duty to fulfill his wish. Now he goes for the final selection and absolutely destroys it, passing it in seconds and preventing others from dying. But this is actually a problem in disguise. As we know, Muzan sees everything through the eyes of all his demons, and this is a bad thing. The second he finds a slayer with Hanafuda earrings using Hinokami Kagura, his PTSD immediately kicks in, and I guarantee he's not taking any chances. Now the moment comes when he sends 2 demons to ambush and kill him. Yeah, that wouldn't be it. He would absolutely take no chances and would want him wiped off the face of the earth. So in that case, he definitely sends someone like Akaza to the scene. And we know how that turns out. He kills Nezuko, Tanjiro, and even Tamayo all on the same night. And with all those vital characters dead, there's no way they're stopping Muzan. So yeah, that doesn't look good. Well, that's one for Muzan, I guess. Sorry, Yoriichi. But that was just the first theory of the video, and trust me, the next theories will absolutely blow your mind. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and let's get right into theory 2. Now we can't just give Muzan another win, so let's go crazy on the buffs. Let's think abstractly for this one. As we know, sun breathing is the strongest and first breathing style, and all other breathing styles are just factions under sun breathing. So theoretically, we can say that Yoriichi would have to be able to use each and every single breathing style ever created. Now I know that's a bit of a stretch, but it does make sense. If you know how to make paper, then you'll know how subscripts of paper are made, like books and all that. So when Tanjiro wanders to a house, he's greeted and confronted by a man who says, "Welcome, I knew it was just a matter of time." Confused, Tanjiro becomes struck into a daze, and in his vision, he stands in the flaming valley with a thunderous voice. He hears, "I have given you what you need, the power to control all, and I will guide you in clearing the darkness." Now he would start to see illusions and visions where he trains spiritually and practices in the physical realm. He trains his senses, movements, and his abilities in terms of training. And after years of repetition, Tanjiro would come out not just as another slayer, but a nightmare to all demons, one that Muzan wouldn't dare to stand up to. A complete beast able to utilize every single breathing style he's ever observed, and with his knowledge of this, he enters the competition to learn and try to store as many breathing styles as he can in his arsenal. Over the course of his journey, he would be able to pull off almost every single ability we've seen in the series. Just stop and think about it. Imagine Tanjiro being able to execute sound, water, flame, and even flower breathing, all just with one look and some practice. Now it's safe to say that Tanjiro easily stomps any demon in his way, and in the fight against Muzan, he wouldn't even expect to win. I mean, it's bad enough to deal with a Hashira, but to deal with one guy with the power of all, that would just be insane. So yeah, that's definitely a win for the Slayers. Well, you're 2 theories in. No turning back now. Just go grab a snack, smash that subscribe button, and let's get into the best and most thrilling part of this theory. Let's see who takes the trophy home, Slayers or Muzan. And without further ado, let's dive into our final theory. Now, the point of this video isn't Yoriichi training Tanjiro physically. The point is that Tanjiro gets trained by the crafter of breathing styles, Yoriichi. Now let's do some out-of-the-box thinking. Instead of Yoriichi actually training Tanjiro physically or being present in the affairs, Yoriichi would give Tanjiro the Sabito and Makomo treatment, the students of Urokodaki that spiritually taught Tanjiro to pass Urokodaki's test. Now, we can imagine that this correlates, and instead of meeting Urokodaki, he's taken in and trained by a weak man who calls himself Yoriichi. Now, Yoriichi would be heavily confidential about his identity, and would put on a more vigorous training regimen and schedule. And we of course would have to keep in mind that Tanjiro wouldn't be learning water breathing in this reality. He would learn the Hinokami Kagura from the very beginning. Now, over the years of training, Tanjiro faces training schedules that focus mostly on building stamina and unlocking all his his emotions and memories of his father. Now, we can't do this with Sabito and Makomo. We have to bring someone that actually aids him in unlocking his memories. Now, the perfect person to pull is his father. Months and months of trying to liberate the flames, as Yoriichi would call it, after a day of pushing himself to the limit, a campfire lights up in front of him, and then several others follow, making up a large, round circular arrangement. He then sees a man dancing elegantly with the sacred Hinokami robes, and then it clicks. No one is actually there. Because of some state of spiritual awareness, Tanjiro witnesses an awakening illusion, and the more he follows the dance moves, the deeper he feels the flames burn within him. And in an amazing display, he sees himself and his base coated in flames, and he finally knows that he has unlocked it. Now Yoriichi would have witnessed it all, and proudly he would begin to train him in completely mastering it, and doing it even better than he could. After months of training and stamina enhancement activities, Tanjiro becomes a Hinokami Kagura beast. He masters all discovered forms of it and makes more, saying that he still has more to create, after possibly 20 forms. Now, in this state, Tanjiro is easily stronger than even the Hashira, and is the strongest slayer around. Of course, Yoriichi would be nowhere to be found, and it would later be clear to Tanjiro that he was guided by the spirit of his ancestors, giving thanks to them. We now have our Tanjiro starter pack. We can say that Tanjiro's abnormal level of power would make him an undefeatable blade for the Slayers. He would easily be able to protect and assist Rengoku in the fight against Akaza on the Mugen train, and he would probably have been able to defeat Akaza at that moment. You know what that means. Rengoku is alive, and Akaza isn't even around for the Infinity Castle. The fact that Rengoku and Tanjiro could take down an Upper Moon would make Tanjiro a symbol of absolution in the eyes of the Slayers, and the problem of all the demons. A man that makes even demons tremble at his mere sight. And the more Muzan hears about Tanjiro, the more PTSD he starts to have. At this time, Tanjiro resembles an identical and even stronger version of Yoriichi. Knowing this, Muzan would try to attack more from the shadows, and would be insanely cautious of Tanjiro, always avoiding any form of conflict with him. Now in the Entertainment District arc, we don't even need to go through all the hassle as in canon. Tanjiro would be able to defeat Gyutaro and Daki all by himself, considering he has over 20 Hinokami Kagura forms. And with Tengen having his back, alongside Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Nezuko, I think it's safe to say that the Entertainment District arc would be a walk in the park. Now we can also imagine that Tanjiro continues to see Yoriichi appear in different areas all around the series. He appears on training grounds when he's alone, in critical thinking moments, and in tight conditions. Now this would mean that Yoriichi wouldn't just be a master at the beginning, he would be a spirit guide for Tanjiro's adventures. Then, moving on to the Swordsmith Village arc, what I feel is that the Slayers would find little to no trouble, as Tanjiro has become a nightmare to all demons, upper or lower rank. He would easily be able to put Hantengu down for the count all by himself, and with that, he would have no problem defeating Gyoko. And in this arc, the Slayers wouldn't even need to activate their marks. How crazy is that? And in the Hashira training arc, Tanjiro would be the one to teach a breathing mastery program. This would be because of his insane mastery of the first breathing style ever created. And finally, in the final arc, the Infinity Castle, the Slayers would run through the castle depending on how they're arranged. And to make things even crazier, let's try to pull everyone out alive and energized. Now, since Akaza isn't around, which is such a huge game changer, let's put Tanjiro and Giyu in the fight against Kokushibo. And let's put Rengoku alongside Shinobu, Inosuke, and Kanao. Now with this, it's safe to say that the upper moons are overwhelmed. Even Kokushibo can't run the fate against this version of Tanjiro. And now that the Hashira and all involved Slayers are complete, Muzan would be shaking in his boots, even by the sight of Tanjiro alone. This would make Muzan fight out of fear and unease, screaming and launching attacks out of confusion and despair. The Slayers and Muzan go in a bloody all-out battle, with some of them even activating their Slayer marks. In the end, the Slayers beat Muzan, and all his plans of capturing Tanjiro or Nezuko's body would be burnt just as the flames of the Hinokami Kagura. The Slayers finally free the world from the clutches of the demons, and stand proud and live the rest of their lives in a well-deserved rest. That's it, folks. Did I miss anything? Or maybe you have something you'd like to add to my theory? Let me know in the comments. Don't miss out on the next awesome video that's coming up. I'll see you there.